My name is Mick, and for some reason I've been given the task tonight to introduce the star and the maker of the film, Ryan McMullan and Brendan Byrne. So how'd that feel watching it back?
I hate myself.
I got that from the, that vocal's just not great. And I'm sitting there going, I wish I could sing half as good as that. And he's going, it's just not right.
Yeah, it's the whole, like, I don't know about anybody else, but just film yourself for an hour and a half and try and watch it back. Just see how far you can get into it.
Exactly.
Especially on an Odeon-sized screen.
With a constant drink in your hand. Either drunk or with a drink in my hand. I don't understand. Well, actually, I do. Nobody ever interviews you before the show. They always interview you after. And sure, after, you're buzzing. So you're like, yeah, I'll have a drink. And then it's like, oh, an interview? Absolutely. And then you watch it back and you're like, fuck.
Someone get this man a drink in his hand is what he's trying to tell you. I wanted to ask, when you decided you were going to make the film, what were the hopes for, like, what when you agreed to do it, what were you hoping to get out of it, like the finished product, what were you hoping to see? Obviously, the end, and there we all kind of saw it coming, with the timelines coming up, we kind of knew what was kind of coming, it was breaking your heart the closer we got to it. But before COVID, had you imagined this film was going to come out with the album in tow, and you were going to kind of push the whole thing together, or?
Yeah. Probably that would have been the plan. But I suppose, apart from that, the album and the film, because at the same time, when you're in the middle of making a film, you're really just concentrating on what the film itself is going to be like and how it's going to be structured.
And did you have an idea when you were filming? Did you think this is... I can see the narrative was there. This guy, I don't want to say plucked out of obscurity, because that feels pretty harsh. Obviously, he's an amazingly talented guy. But it felt like it went from 0 to 60 and continued at 0 to 90, I should say, and continued at it for a couple of years as he's tried to, work towards getting the album out. But what you didn't seem to have was time, because you were getting sucked into this world.
Yeah, I mean, opportunity is everything, and anybody who does this knows if you don't take an opportunity, somebody else will take that opportunity. So we always just kept saying yes to the opportunities, and then what ended up falling short then was actually writing songs, because it's very hard to try and remember what flight you're on, where you have to stay that night, what the venue is, doing all of that kind of stuff, and then also trying to be creative. Some people can do it, I can't, so I guess trying to get time at home to write an album, and an album isn't just songs, it has to have, for me anyway, it has to have a common thread. So you actually need a lot more time at home. You actually have to figure out just a thread, and at this point it was just rushing to try and find a thread and like try my hardest to get there. But whenever sort of COVID came around, all I could think was, fuck's sake, I could have done with this time 4 years ago. But
yeah, albums have a mythological thing for musicians. Like, it was weird to watch you kind of not stress, but really fixate on getting this album while you were doing all this other unreal, amazing stuff. But it's a symbolic thing, isn't it, getting an album out?
Yeah, and a lot of the industry is changing, like, in America and in the UK it is kind of changing a bit, where it's more about a single and then making sure that single gets played 1 million times a day, as opposed to like a creation of work. But there is still loads of places in the industry, like the likes of Europe and Australia and places like that, where they'll let you into tour, but the next time you go back to tour, they expect an album. And if you don't have it, they're like, well, come back to us when you have an album. So that's why it was always so important to get it done, because you've just worked so hard to get to here, and the next step, all you need is that thing to follow it.
To push that button?
Yeah, and that was why it was kind of important to do it, but now we've got the album ready, so it's all good. But we should change the end, because it'll not be out in 2021.
Director's recut.
Yeah.
You got a lot of footage. You really were there from the start. It really seems like. How hard was it? Was there anything that you kind of wanted to put in that you decided against, or was there, like, did Ryan ever say to you, can you just back off for 5 minutes? This camera's very close to me.
Once or twice, but he was very accommodating, I have to say.
Was that what the song was about?
What do you think
Did
it was?
Ever fuck off away out of
What do you think it was giving him bottle after bottle of wino for? For Christ's sake, I've done this before.
I need this content.
Yeah. No. The whole team were very accommodating, and I think for on the filmmaking side, what had happened was we had filmed over a long period of time, but it was a couple of days in the studio and it was a live performance, and another few days in the studio and a bit of a tour. So it was kind of a lot of bits. So what we felt we needed was a framing device. And Ryan's talking about time. You know, trying to get Ryan and Hammy and Foy in a room for more than one day is a challenge. To do it for 4 days was something that we needed for them to kind of consider what was going to be on the album at that time on December 29. So we'll come up with this notion of bringing them to Donegal, and so that we could have them in a room so that I could buy them a drink. After 7 o'clock, there was a 7 o'clock alcohol curfew.
Sure was.
Yeah. But given they didn't get up to 2 o'clock, you know, it only gave us a few hours to get filming. So that was the framing device of the film, really, Donegal, and then that made it easier to hang off all the myriad bits that we had filmed in the 3 or 4 years past. But also we're very lucky because Hammy, Ryan's manager, who had been on the road with him and is his drummer as well, he had shot a huge amount of footage on his 5D.
Right.
And then Ed Sheeran's people had shot some footage. They shot the footage behind the scenes there with Ed Sheeran. It kills me to say that because I was hoping my daughter thought I shot that bit. But no, you have to tell the truth. So, no, that's basically how it came together.
Just when you speak about Hammy and Foy, and I should say Owen as well, like so, a lot of people struggle to find like a guide. You seem to have 3. And is Foy, is he a shaman or does he just look like one?
I mean, as you can tell, everything that comes out of his mouth is wisdom. Like everything, even when a camera's on him, it almost amplifies. Every word that he said there, I was just like, God, he's so like intelligent at all times. Never once does anything come out where it's just a bit of fat. No, it's just all meat all the time.
Yeah, he had some very insightful things to say. Can I ask as well, just as a like, I'm a musician, not anywhere near. There's no documentary about me right now, but I thought I didn't know that Owen O'Callaghan was involved in the album, and then you were obviously saying that he came in late. Like, and Owen's a really unique producer, songwriter, composer. I mean, his CV's so varied and really, really interesting and diverse. Was that why he was brought in? Are you hoping that he'll add some of that to weird some things up a bit? I know there was a bit of that in the film, but was that the kind of decision making behind that?
Owen's here, right? Yep, there he's there.
Oh, he's sitting in front of me the entire time.
Whether he wants
mumbling away, he's like, there should be more Owen. That's who was saying that.
I don't know if you want to come up and have a chat about it, Owen, if you want. No, you're all right. Yes. Owen is absolutely phenomenal. He released a lot of music under Elma Orchestra, and it is just absolutely stunning. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. And at the time, I think everything I was doing was just pretty much a guitar part, and nothing about it was inspiring to me anymore. So his music was inspiring me, and I think he wanted to work with people always who inspire you to be better, and that was why I was delighted to have Owen come on. So he actually produced the EP before the album, or sorry, my latest EP out last year. And then after he did that, because I was actually on tour, so he actually produced it while I was on tour. And then I just heard it and was like, wow, this guy, he has to be involved in the album. And then we got to Donegal and everything was running smooth and all the plans was running well. But then with lockdown, kind of,
a lot of time to think.
Yeah, a lot of time to think. And then songs, a lot of the albums actually changed now. Not to say it's a COVID album, but like songs were written during COVID that are now going to replace other songs. And Owen has his other stuff going ahead as well. He's also an amazing, ridiculously talented videographer. It's kind of sickening how talented he is at everything.
Sickening was the word I was going to go for there as well.
And then it was kind of like, how do we continue to do this especially with lockdown, with not being able to work together in the same room? And then I kind of just had to make some form of a decision to be like, I need to sort of take back control a wee bit. But no doubt, he's been such a tremendous help with the whole thing, and he's just an absolute sweetheart as a person.
I mean, the kind of support from all of them was evident throughout the entire film. They really believe in you, and the friendship that they kind of fostered with you was one of the nicest bits of the film.
Yeah, I mean, nobody gets to do this on their own. The only person that I can think of, and even at the same time, I actually know that he didn't do it on his own, is Ed. But everybody needs support and everybody needs people that elevates them, and I just have...
Some of the footage of you and Ed was particularly hilarious.
I know. Do you not think we look like Paul Brady and Andy Murphy? Yeah.
But yeah, I think how are we for times? We've got some time.
I had one more question.
So can you pronounce the island on Donegal? Because I'm going there next week and I'm engaged to a Donegal woman and I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the family.
Yeah, absolutely, Brendan.
Well, only because I've had practice of this. It's called Critch Island,
Critch
even though it's
Island.
spelt sort of as if it's crut.
And tell
But
me,
it's Critch Island.
a direct quote from the film is "shit goes down" in Critch Island. Well, I might add that bit on myself, but in Donegal. So
Well,
if
Critch Island's a cool spot, and
Yeah.
I first went there 30 years ago. So when we were deciding to go to Donegal, that was the first place that came into my head. And actually, just to show you how organised sometimes Foy and Hammy and Ran are, Owen turned up in Donegal, and nobody had told me, but actually it was the best thing that ever happened, because they'd just made the decision that Owen was coming up, but obviously it was a musical decision, so
Yeah.
I wasn't really part of it, but I was kind of going, well, if he's going to be here, guys, now he's in the film. And I said, are you alright about that, Owen? And thankfully Owen's had a bit of experience of these things before, so he was cool. And actually it was a really important dynamic in a way, because it provided a really important dynamic change, which none of us predicted or planned or anything, because if we just had got in the room with Foy, Hammy and Ryan, you know, they're so used to
Yes,
each other,
of
it
course,
just could have been a bit the Foy, Hammy and Ryan show. And whilst they are the three amigos, and they're the kind of, the triangle of the film, Owen brought a kind of, another level to it, whereby everybody was kind of watching themselves and everybody was playing at their highest game because there was a new guy in town. So he stepped up to the plate brilliantly, and even from a director's point of view, he played a brilliant role in kind of making that easy. So well done, Owen O'Callaghan. Huge talent he is.
There you are, Owen. Well done, Owen. Well done to Hammy and Foy and all of them. I mean, it really, like, it did it's such a like group effort and such a like a collaborative feel to the whole thing. Did you ever feel like in those like more intimate moments when you're filming people in the middle of writing a song where everything sounds like you're just kind of, as you said, now got to figure out what the fuck it's about, you know, halfway through the song? Did you ever feel like you were just like, I should probably back out and get out of the way here and try and make myself as invisible as possible? Or was it just what, in for a penny, in for a pound?
I think by that stage, I mean, interestingly, it's a wee cottage, so we were, for a part of the time, especially when they were writing that song, we were on the stairs. So the quieter it got, we could go up the stairs and actually get out of view. But generally speaking, I think after a day, and given that we'd already spent a lot of time with Ran and Foy and Hammy, you know, we'd sort of melded into the background. Not that you can meld too easily into the background in a small Irish cottage, but, you know, and Ran actually in the first scene or two, he's got the hoodie up. So, you know, he was a bit conscious at the start, but, you know, after a while then, you know, forgot about it. After a wine, he forgot about it, you know. And, you know, just for those people here who are not overly familiar with the music business, you know, including the younger of the audience, who are used to seeing talent shows and think that's how people get famous, and that's where talent comes from. No, what the film's really about, it's a study of talent and dedication and people sort of searching for their dreams, and to see how much hard work is involved in all of that. And that's really what the film's about. So I hope, you know, you take some of that from it.
And I mean, there's a moment in the film where I think it's fair to say that Foy changed your life by saying to you, "You've got nothing to say."
Yeah. Again,
that to me, that's where the journey started.
Yeah.
Because your friends egged you on to sing the song, and Foy, he could have been nicer to you, he could have been meaner to you, but he planted something in your brain.
The best word to describe Foy is just real. Like, what you see is what you get. I think he would find it more of an insult to just let you, yeah, that was great, man, than to actually tell you something that he thinks you need to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is really where it started. And, you know, if it was Disney, I'd have signed to a major record label, and this would have been yesterday, the movie. But really,
which I haven't seen, but I'll take your word from it. You're not a fan.
But no, it was actually such a joy in hindsight watching it back, because there's so many memories that I just totally forgot about. And thankfully, PD is here. PD edited about 40 hours of stuff before giving it to Brendan for fear of anything really bad going in. He said he just constantly had sleepless nights. But no, it was an absolute pleasure to be a part of it. And you know, it's the sort of highest form of flattery, somebody documenting your life for 5 years. So huge thanks to Brendan and everybody, and Andrew and all of them for...
By all rights, you could be acting like a complete egomaniacal arsehole by this stage because of some of the stuff that you've been through. But a couple of years ago, I just bumped into Ryan in the pub, and I was chatting to him a bit at the bar. And he was, "Here, let me buy you a pint." And he bought me a pint, and then he walked away. And I found out 5 minutes later it was his birthday, and he had bought me the pint. And I was like, you know what? That's all right by me. He seems that he's a sound guy, and I think it does kind of come through in the film. It just like, yeah, you were. It was all about the work and the journey. It wasn't about the experience that much. You were like, on to the next thing, on to the next thing.
Yeah, you can't really dwell, I don't think. I think, and also it doesn't pay to be an arsehole anymore. You know, the 80s is over.
I'm making a half good go at it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just if you enjoyed the film, tell your friends about it. It's going on release next Friday, September 3rd. It's going to play Belfast, Dublin, Cork, Derry, Letterkenny, and somewhere else. But so get out there, go online, go Google, do the rest.
So, thanks very much for coming to watch the film. I think that's all from me. I think long overstayed my welcome up here. Ryan, thanks again. That was a great film. Brendan, thanks very much.
Thanks a million.
I'll take that from you. Cheers, everyone.